Okay, younger people, this is for you. And actually, no. This is for anyone who's ever heard the phrase, life is short. And what I have found is that I disagree with that. I disagree with that notion. Oh, and before, I didn't even introduce myself. If you're new here, this is Tamil Chronicles No Chaser. I hope you know what you gotten yourself into. I bring you life wisdom with a bunch of sarcasm and much more attitude daily the long way. So, what I was saying was, I have found that I disagree that life is short. And the reason I say that is this. You don't make perfect decisions, okay? Perfect, and even that's relative. What is perfect, right? You make the decisions based on what you know or based on what you think you know at the moment. You make the best decision that you believe is the best decision for you in the moment. Now, we make silly decisions that we know are not the best, okay, decision. I've done that, and if you're watching this, you have probably done that, or you're going to do that. And quite frankly, those silly, not the best, we know are not the best decisions were actually quite fun, okay? I have no regrets. But I digress. But you will make decisions, again, probably based on what the way that you've seen other people move in your life, the way that seem to work for somebody else. Well, just because you see somebody doing something or making a decision that worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Okay? This is why you cannot fall into the trap of comparison. All right, I digress again. So, life is short. I don't agree with it. Life is long. Okay? And this ties into what I just said about decisions and the choices that are made. The choices that you make, the choices that I make, the choices that we make. When you view life from the perspective of life being long, it will cause you to really pause, to really think about the choice that you are about to make. Now, I'm not talking about, so let me keep going here, and then I'll use an example. When you make a choice that you know is not the best, when you think, okay, life is long, you will pause and you'll say, okay, whatever the possibilities, the consequences that are accompanied with this decision that I know is not the best, will I be prepared to deal with those consequences in my life? A lot of those consequences, you don't want to deal with them. But when you make a decision that you know is not the best, those consequences hit you, they hit your life. That makes for a long life. Life is not short. You'll have to, and you don't know how long those consequences are going to be in your life. And then you also have to think about the after effects. It's like an earthquake. You have the main event, but then there are the aftershocks. That is how you have to view your life decisions. Also, from another angle, if you're making a decision and really in the moment it seems like the right decision, quote, right decision, you still need to give yourself time to pause, to think. Perhaps you need to gather more information. Perhaps there is somebody in your life that you trust, that means you well, that's not going to project their limitation onto you, that you can go talk to about this decision. A lot of times when we think we know the best decision, so first of all, we're trained to think that we just have to act. We just have to move, that we can't take a pause for ourselves, that we can't take a fucking breath, that we can't slow down. A lot of us don't intentionally make the not best decision. We're making decisions because we think we have to be quick about it. We think we have to be immediate about it. Society has done that to a lot of us. But no, you, especially when it comes to your life, especially when it comes to a decision that you know is going to affect you in some way, no, you owe it to yourself to pause. And if you have other people around you that are trying to push you into making a decision, tell them people to fuck off. Tell those people, I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm going to think about this. I'm going to give myself some time to ruminate over this, to make sure that this decision is right for me. I don't care what it is. Now, when I'm talking about, waiting to make a decision, I'm not talking about, in situations where your safety is at risk. I'm not talking about those types of situations or abusive situations that you need to make the choice to leave. No. I'm talking about decisions that don't involve potential harm, like physical harm, okay? So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. But gift yourself the time to consider the decision that you're making. Because life is long. Life is not short. And any decision that you make, ultimately, because it's your decision, you will ultimately feel the consequences of that decision, of that choice. Now, when we think of consequences, we automatically think bad. No. A consequence is just a result of something. That's it. It's only good or bad depending on the choice that you made. So that's just what a consequence is. A consequence is a result of your action. All right? Whether it's a preferred result or not, it is still a consequence. So when you approach life, life is long. Is this consequence of this action, is it favorable? Is it unfavorable? Is it an I don't know and I need more time before I take action? When you view life that way, when you view life as long, then even making decisions, you won't be nervous to make a decision. Because you'll say, okay, my life is long. I have a lot of time. With the amount of time that I'm here, do I want to live out this choice? Do I want to live out this choice? So that's the wisdom that I wanted to bring to you today. And when I was younger, I used to hear people say that, older people say, oh, life is short. Well, no. I feel like life is long. I feel like my 49 years it's been long, but in a good way. And again, I told you at the beginning of this, did I always make the right decision? No. I've made plenty of questionable decisions. But my perspective on them is, maybe I needed to make that decision. I don't know. Maybe I needed to make that decision for me to learn. Although I am not one of these people that will tell you that you have to make a whole bunch of mistakes, that you have to suffer to learn all that. That's bullshit. No, you don't. But anyway, let me know what your takeaways are from this episode of Tammo Chronicles.